Hi guys, it's literally like 35 degrees here and you can literally see it on my face. I have a love-hate relationship with it. However, today's topic is probably my deepest philosophies I have developed and evolved. This is not to say that I made the blueprint, that I'm the inventor of this philosophy. It is a philosophy I'm very passionate about, and it will explain why I post gym content on my Instagram. However, I do not want to be a gym influencer or a fitness influencer. I am obsessed with the mind and consciousness, but as time went on, as I grew up, I realized how intertwined the mind and body is and how it actually affects consciousness. This is what today is about. It's the mind is filtered through flesh. And when I lost 15 kilos, I expected to look more sculptured, to look skinnier, blah, blah, blah. But because my system wasn't based on destruction, my weight loss system wasn't on destruction, it was about fueling the body and getting rid of what's unnecessary. I still felt energized, I still felt like myself. I was losing fat, and as I lost fat, my attention got way better. And not only that, my thinking became sharper, my creativity improved, and as a writer or as a creative artist, that's what you want. You want your creativity to be out there. You don't want to be awake at 1 a.m. trying to think of a creative idea to create. I don't know how else to explain it. Where it all started was 1.5 years ago in the gym with my fiance. I either finished my workout before he did, or I skipped my workout entirely, and that's before I lost 15 kilos. I might have been like 5 kilos in, or something along those lines. I saw a quote by Haruki Murakami, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. He drew a parallel between physical activity and writing, particularly running and writing, and I actually couldn't find the quote I saw that gave me the light bulb. There's another thing he wrote, and it's writing a novel is survival training. Physical strength is as necessary as artistic sensitivity. And before that, I had never thought of writing as something physical before, but it is. To write is to make thought tangible, to wrestle with yourself until it becomes something you can shape and sharpen. Whether you're an artist, a painter, a thinker, an observer, that's what you do with your mind. Even if you're a scholar and you're trying to invent new things, you wrestle with yourself through math equations, just trying to put the pieces together. It's not a competition between you and the research, blah, blah, blah. It's about you versus you. Even with all of the research on the floor, you're the one that has to find the connections between everything in order to have that creative inclination. When I found that quote, it might have been 2 years ago. God, I have like a brain fart now. Because this following piece, I wrote a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. A year ago. Anyways, this piece is called Ink and Sweat, and it's meant to encapsulate where the conscious realization of this mind-body connection started, because it started way when I was younger, but this is when I started truly exploring it, and that's right after I found the quote. And yeah, It starts like this. The body and mind forever entwined, but prone to betrayal. One neglects the other, and both begin to decay. The truth is learned through sweat, strain, and the ache of joints, often ones that have never known movement before. One of my classmates growing up was a gymnast, and after finding out, I almost idolized her. That's when something deep within me begged, move, find out what you're made of. To love movement when it does not love you back and leaves you panting on the floor, that's where it begins. That's where transformation lives, in effort and humiliation, where you not only carve the softness of your body, but of your mind too. And as one philosopher said, what a disgrace it is for a man to grow old without ever seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. There is an art to working out, one that most people will never understand. Muscles are not just flesh, they are symbols of effort, of choice. It's not about vanity, though people might reduce it to that. It's about sculpting not only yourself, but your focus, discipline, and patience. Strength is not just physical. It seeps into everything. The way you think, the way you write, the way you endure, and it offers clarity, and this clarity ends up being useful for organization of thoughts and things in the physical world. And yeah, that's where it started, basically. In this piece, I mentioned that having muscle is not just vanity. And let me tell you another bonus thing. Muscle is the body's natural antidepressant. Somebody should have told me that sooner, because I was suffering. I was literally suffering. But I don't want to be jacked like a man. I'm a woman. So becoming like a man, that's gonna be impossible for me. Of course, if you only train arms every day, you're gonna have massive arms, but you need a good system. I'm all about systems. You need a system that compounds in the most desired and efficient way. That's where most people fail. There's so much misinformation about food, about exercise, about this and that, and I'm not gonna lie. Before I met my fiance, I was drowning in that information. And he was the one that gave me the structure when it came to my body. The reason I didn't have it on my own is because the body was not my special interest. What was my special interest, as I mentioned before, was the mind and consciousness. And that's before I even knew how connected they are. And I do understand why people separate them. People separate everything just so you can have more clarity. The mind should be studied on its own, but it is the body that houses the mind, and you don't necessarily, I was gonna say study a room without studying the house it's in. However, that's not a good comparison. Yeah, I let myself be mentored, and this is such a taboo topic nowadays. People don't like asking for help. A lot of people are very individualistic, and that's not a bad thing, but the pendulum does swing. Too individualistic, too communal, and nowadays you just need to truly find that balance, especially with social media and the internet out there. We don't have real life communities anymore. Well, we do, but not as much as we used to in the past. And people forget that we are communal beings. We love community. We love being a part of something. And it almost feels as if the ego is in the way, because people want to figure things out themselves. But if they have a disease or something, they go to the doctor, and they don't want to figure it out themselves, asking for help is not a bad thing.